I want to speak on the subject, the urgency of now. The urgency of now. These are my own reflections. As you can see, my colleagues in United Opposition are not here, but we are all together. And therefore, end of year reflection and hope for the new year 2026. Wazalendo wenzangu. Thank you for joining me today, the second to last day of 2026. As we stand at this threshold between years, I speak to you not merely in reflection, but with a conviction and a resolve that the time for change is now. Kenya is hurting and our people are suffering, and the time for polite diplomatic language has passed. Fellow Kenyans, 2025 was a year of profound loss. We have lost men and women who transformed this country and shaped our journey toward justice and freedom. We lost Prime Minister Raila Amolo Odinga, a titan of democracy, a warrior for reform and electoral justice, and a relentless voice for the voiceless. His life was a testament that leadership must be anchored in courage, in conviction, and service to the people. We lost Ras Nawara, whose pen exposed corruption without fear, and we mourned learned Senior Counsel Feroz Noreji, a defender of human rights who never wavered in his commitment to justice. We also lost Catherine Nyamato, a tireless advocate for marginalized communities. We lost Phoebe Ashio, a pioneer for women's rights and empowerment. We also mourn David Mulwa and Mumbi Maina, voices of courage, conscience, and courage. And the world lost Professor Ngugi wa Thiong'o, who taught us that freedom begins in the mind. These giants challenged us to be better, to demand more, and never accept oppression as a price of peace. We honor them by completing the journey to reclaim our country from this oppressive regime. As we speak, we are laying to rest Mheshimiwa Cyrus Jirongo. And I think we pause for a moment to honor him. May his soul rest in peace, and may those who may have been responsible for his untimely, tragic accident face justice, God's own justice. My fellow patriots, nothing defines the moral collapse of this regime more than the blood of our young people spilled in broad daylight. Let us never forget Rex Masai, Denzel Omondi, Alfred Ojwang, Eric Shieni, Boniface Kariuki. Remember, Kariuki was just selling masks. I actually attended his funeral in Murang'a. We remember Bridget Njoki, a young child shot in our own living room or our parents' living room by police bullets out there in Kiambu, near Ndumberi, away from Nairobi, where possibly people could be arguing intensity of demonstrations. Our innocence stolen in an instant of senseless violence. We remember the abducted, like Rosemary Njeri, whose crime, quote unquote, was creating an online civic tool to help Kenyans participate in the Finance Bill 2025. Our story and our recognition in time 100 next. I was there in court to plead, tell them, why have you brought her here? And the magistrate agreed with us. Rex, Alfred, Eric, Denzel, Boniface, Bridget, and Rosemary were not criminals, yet they were met with bullets, abductions, and intimidation by a Ruto-sanctioned operation that violated their constitutional rights. And they represent, as we all know, many others. In 2023, when Raila was around and we went demonstrating against the high cost of living, 70 plus of them were shot down. We buried them all over the place, in Siaya, in Machakos. So this is just a representative sample of the young Kenyans we did not have to lose. This is not just a national tragedy. It is a moral failure by the legacy of the Ruto regime. I ask Kenyans to honor our fallen friends and children by committing ourselves to a Kenya where no young person will ever again pay with their life for demanding justice under the Constitution. Zalendo wenzangu, let us speak honestly about where we are and what is the state of our nation, of which the evidence is damning, and it comes from Kenyans themselves. Anywhere and everywhere, be it in Nairobi or Mombasa, the Rift Valley or Western, coastal Northeastern, the devastating picture of life under the Ruto regime in just 3 years is clear. No amount of sugarcoating or political rhetoric that is self-serving can change these facts. While Ruto makes promise after promise, there are actually about 300 or so far, the majority of which he has failed to deliver, except the self-promise to enrich himself and cronies with Kenyan taxpayers' hard-earned money. These are the facts. Number one, the cost of living has become unbearable. Families cannot afford food, fuel, or basic necessities. Overtaxation has crushed households, while corruption and waste drain public resources. A lot of them could not even afford to go home over Christmas. Unemployment, number two, has reached crisis levels. Our educated youth, the pride of this nation, are jobless and disillusioned. Graduates hawk goods on the streets, while unqualified cronies, products of Rutoism, occupy top government positions based on loyalty and ethnicity, not on merit. More damning, manufacturers are leaving the country in their droves because of the unpredictable Ruto policies, costing thousands of Kenyans their jobs and millions more than their breadwinners. Thirdly, insecurity has become the new normal. From police brutality to abductions, from femicide to banditry to petty crimes and increased house breakings, Kenyans are living in fear. The Kenyan skyline is changing, yes, with higher stone walls and barbed wire on its top that block sunlight, because Kenyans are more afraid of their fellow Kenyans than ever before. Nairobi, that used to be called the Green City in the Sun, is now an unplanned stone city under siege because this regime chooses greed over the people. Fourthly, despair has replaced hope. Kenyans feel abandoned, overtaxed, underpaid, and overburdened. Each day dawns with a new levy, a new penalty, a new heartbreak. Are we not waiting for January to hear that NSSF has upped their contribution as well? Fifthly, or thereabouts, healthcare has collapsed into a nightmare. SHA shift forced on Kenyans has become the most consequential threat to our well-being. Hospitals are understaffed and under-equipped. Mothers give birth in fear. Doctors go unpaid, and hospitals run out of essential drugs. I met two families in Sekuru where I was for Christmas, Sunday morning, from different parts of the constituency. And they had a similar story to say, so help us. Our child is lying in Kenyatta Referral Hospital mortuary. We are required to pay 1.2 million shillings. We can't afford, help us. So I'm trying to see how I can now relate to that story, how I can help. The next family comes in from Kasa side, if you know where Mwingi know this, Mumoni, a young man whom I knew was working in the geothermal power producing plants, contracted some infection. He also died in Kenyatta Referral Hospital, and the body was lying there. The father, who was one or two classes ahead of me in high school, could not afford. They are saying, help us bring the body of our young professional, chemical engineer, home. Tumechoka kila siku fundraise on TikTok, Facebook, and WhatsApp groups to give our loved ones access to quality health care. Sio lazima trend ndio saidike. That's what I suggest. Education has become a burden, sixthly, instead of a bridge. Education, once the key to opportunity, has been turned into a nightmare for families. Parents are drowning in debt just to keep their children in school, while teachers and lecturers are demoralized, unpaid, and disrespected. Students are uncertain of their future, wondering if their education will lead anywhere in a country where public sector jobs go to political cronies, not qualified graduates, and private sector opportunities are dwindling by the hour. Our schools and universities have been reduced to striking zones because this regime does not value education or educators. As we speak, 300, as of today, 350,000 young Kenyans who are supposed to join grade 10 under the controversial and I dare say unrecognizable CBC system do not know where they are going to school. And they are expected to join year 10 on January 12th. 350,000 of them have applied for transfer. This is not governance. This is organized suffering for parents and their children. This is not bottom-up economics. It is root of bottomship, bottomless corruption, and top-down greed. Fellow Kenyans, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, I quote, "We are confronted with the fierce urgency of now," end of quote. The urgency of now is a cry of a mother who cannot afford medicine for a sick child, the desperation of a young graduate with no job, the fear of a family living under police brutality, and the anger of a farmer who cannot feed their family. 2026 must be a year of change, fellow Kenyans. Not change delayed or promised, but change delivered. The urgency of now demands we say with one voice, one term, Komboa Kenya. Wazalendo wenzangu, let me be clear about what this regime is doing. Faced with failure and faced with the revolution, they have resorted to destruction, to deception, and to delay. The Singapore allusion is an example. Ruto speaks of turning Kenya into Singapore. But what we see is hashtag Singapore. a nation drowning in debt, overtaxed citizens, collapsed industries, and fleeing investors. Let us be clear. Singapore was built on discipline, on merit, and strategic investment. In 3 years, Kenya under Ruto is being drowned in Rutopreneurship, where public office is a family business, where contracts go to cronies, and where corruption is policy. Let us be even clearer. You cannot hope or pretend to build Singapore on the foundation of theft, incompetence, and nepotism. Let's face it, Singapore is all we will ever get under this regime. Secondly, I want to talk about the referendum diversion. And now they want to add a constitutional referendum to the August 2027 elections. Can you imagine, Kenyans? Already the weight of 6 ballots from an MCA to an MP to a senator to a county women rep to a governor to a senator, did I say senator, to the president, 6 ballots, and you want to add other ballots to make it 10? Where in the world has that happened? I must tell them, we do not even have in place a referendum law. Let Parliament deal with that first. And when we under NADCO dealt with those issues, the number one item was the cost of living, which this regime said, no, that's our business, leave it. Now it is now under the urgency of now. This is so that they can manipulate the process and attempt to extend their grip on power through backdoor constitutional changes. There is no constitutional crisis in our country. Nothing can stop this election based on boundaries review. The legal avenue available, avenues available, the main was in Parliament, that the state has unfortunately captured. We will be seeking interpretation on this matter, and I can tell you, the Constitution says that there shall be an election for a president in each of the 290 constituencies. The constituencies are even defined under the Constitution. So nobody can come and say there will be a constitutional crisis because we do not have in place the boundaries review. And yet under NADCO, we had made it very clear that, in fact, we made a recommendation that rather than have a review of the boundaries after every 9 or so years, we made it 14 in order to be able to cover the current deficit. But that notwithstanding, there is no constitutional crisis. Let me be very crystal clear to Mr. Ruto. Implement the Constitution of Kenya first, and obey and respect the rule of law and the Constitution you sought to uphold. Never mind the fact that you opposed it in the first place, but you are the guardian of that Constitution. There is no excuse to say I opposed it in the first place. In fact, this Constitution has served you so well. When Uhuru Kenyatta could have taken the liberty to fire you, he couldn't, because you are joined at the hip. He required a referendum, an impeachment motion, and you had the numbers. Fortunately, so this Constitution has actually served Mr. William Ruto very well. Mipango ya kudanganya wa Kenya ndio wapitishe term limit extension, lazima wajue tuko rada. Make no mistake and hear me clearly. The only referendum Kenyans want is the one that happens at the ballot box in August 2027, and that referendum will be clear. Ruto will go. Hashtag one term for him. It's not a crime. In fact, it's a big favor. The way they're performed under this regime, even their one term, is a big favor. My fellow Kenyans, I want to be very clear this afternoon. The united opposition is not just a coalition. It is your government in waiting. We are united not by personal ambition, but by shared values: respect for our Constitution, economic justice, integrity in public office, and the protection of fundamental rights. And I make this commitment to you. By the first quarter of 2026, the name of our presidential candidate will be made known to Kenyans. I think it's only fair that we work in that direction. And I want to say that I personally do everything possible to hold our team together. Let me also be abundantly clear. I am running for President of the Republic of Kenya. That's an obvious fact. Because I was given a direct mandate on October 10th, 2025 by the National Delegates Congress of the now revamped, re-energized Wiper Patriotic Front. This is a front to liberate Kenya. I've walked this journey with you, and I've stood for justice when it was under attack by the very people who are supposed to be its first line of defense. I have defended the Constitution when others sought to undermine it, and I've defended Kenyans in our courts of law when they have been abducted and tortured. I have, with my colleagues in the legal fraternity, also spent countless hours in our courts of law, and successfully stopped the attempts to auction our strategic assets like the JKI. Young Kenyans were even arraigned before anti-terrorism courts in committee. You know, they were meant to get maximum fear put in their minds that, you know, you are next to commit maximum prison. The anti-terrorism court is right there. And so they are put together with international criminals. And I will continue to do so with the same vigor to stop the recent attempt to sell off 18 of our heritage corporations for a song and to Ruto associated companies. And Kenyans, I will lead this nation with integrity given that opportunity, competence, and compassion, not just as I did from the first day I had the privilege of holding public office. Under my leadership, we will cut unnecessary taxes like the punitive affordable housing levy that is a conduit for theft. Simply, it is a slush fund. We will deliver our 24-hour economy that lowers the cost of living, brings back investors and creates real jobs, not Ruto's fake promises. We will restore professionalism over Rutoism. Jobs will be earned by merit, not by loyalty to a political godfather. We'll end police brutality for sure, as well as abductions and fear. Freedoms of expression and assembly will be protected. We will deliver affordable, quality health care for all. No family should be driven into poverty by illness. Nobody should be held hostage in a hospital mortuary because a family cannot pay their medical bills. We will fund education adequately and value our teachers. Education once again be the bridge to opportunity, not that nightmare it currently is. We will strengthen anti-corruption institutions, recover stolen public funds at home and abroad, and hold the politicians accountable. Wazalendo wenzangu, the urgency is now, but change only comes if you act. Ruto alisema, shoot young people on the legs because you dared to exercise your constitutional rights. I repeat this clarion call. We must shoot them at the ballot na kura zetu. We must shoot William Ruto at the ballot na kura zetu. But you cannot shoot if you do not have ammunition. So I implore you to register and vote. To our young people, to Gen Zs, do not let anyone tell you that your voice does not matter or intimidate you into silence. Register today, register tomorrow, register the next day. Register until all your friends, all your classmates, all your cousins, and every eligible Kenyan has their voter's card in hand. Your vote is your constitutional weapon. Use it. One shot, no retreat, no surrender. Fellow patriots, I thank you for the support you have given me over the years, particularly those of my own political formation. Even when I've been in opposition, going to these 15 years, they never lost hope in me. They kept hope alive. Your hope drives me, and your demand for change empowers me. From Lamu to Kiambu, Isiolo to Bungoma, Nairobi to Kisumu, Wote to Turkana, Tharaka to Kajiado, Mombasa to Meru, and from Sugoi to Sekuru, we all deserve justice, dignity, and honest leadership. I have no doubt that we will complete the journey together to a Kenya of justice, of opportunity, and of dignity. This is not a dream deferred or a promise delayed. This is the urgency of now, the right to kukomboa Kenya, ukombozi Kenya. I wish you a happy and prosperous 2026. Of course, we shall be engaging. We will hit the road running. Yeah, we'll be, unless it's absolutely necessary, you friends, members of the fourth estate, you have equal opportunity, you have stood by your country, you have reported fearlessly, you have even been threatened. Some of you remember in Nakuru, we are beaten up, we are harassed. We are in this together as Kenyans. And I want to appreciate the fourth estate. May God bless you. May God bless our country, the Republic of Kenya. I thank you.
Wapo huja subscribe, tafadhali subscribe ili uwe wa kwanza kupata habari punde zinapotokea. Asante sana kwa kuwa mtazamaji bora, na siku moja itajipa. Endelea kutufuatilia kwenye taarifa zetu. Jina langu ni Washington Mwale.